Hey guys, welcome back. Let me just hit record up here on the podcast too. If you guys have not subscribed over on Apple or iTunes, you definitely should. Audio quality is better. The audio quality is better on the podcast, but YouTube's great too. YouTube is freaking fantastic. So welcome back to Stop Being Perfect. As you can see, no makeup, didn't do my hair, chucked a beanie on because I need to wash it. Because you do not need to be perfect to show up for something that you want to do. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to talk to you guys because this is on brand. This is relevant to today's topic, which is the story of how I started the HA Society. So I do have somewhat of an entrepreneurial background, which we'll talk about one day, right? I've had brick and mortar businesses and I've been bebopping around with businesses since like 21. And the HA Society is a cool, it's kind of my dream because I had always wanted to have my own online business. So I'd worked for other online businesses and other entrepreneurs, friends, in fact, who had a cool idea, something that took off. And I got to work in that company with them and just fell in love with like building this business. And I love operations and I love marketing and I love all of it. But as many of you know, because I'm far, far from the only one who has been like, oh, I want to start a business, right? I want to start a business of my own and not work for someone else and be in charge of kind of my own earning potential. And I want to be able to work the hours I want to work and all that good stuff. That's the dream, right? Especially for women. It's the dream. And I really wanted that. But like, I need an idea. I need a product. I need an idea. I need a strategy. And it's hard work. Like everyone has some idea of how much work might go into getting an online business off the ground, getting any business off the ground, right? It requires putting yourself out there. It requires a good idea. It requires technical computer knowledge, internet knowledge, all that kind of stuff. And it just so happens, I feel like it was a bit of a Slumdog Millionaire scenario for me, where I happen to have the unique skills required to create an online business. I really just needed the idea, and I always knew that. So I had been coding websites, doing graphics, Photoshop, like well before Canva was a thing. I taught myself HTML and a solid amount of PHP, which are coding languages, in high school. Like I was that kid with the sick MySpace. So I knew how to like navigate that world. And there was more tools out there by the time I was an adult starting the HA Society. But yeah, never had an idea. I was always listening to business, marketing podcasts, like kind of tried some things on. They didn't really stick. And I think that's a normal part of entrepreneurship, right? You try some things, they don't really stick. You try a new thing, it's fine. And you keep going till you find the thing that sticks. Well, I, was in the middle of my HA journey, really. So I was working for this other online company, which I loved, had so much fun. That's where I met Ashley. Story for another time. But I was actually, I was at the end of my journey. I got my period back. And most likely I had some inklings as I was going that there was a gap in the market, right? Like as I was trying to recover, I was probably thinking, there's something here, because there's no way I'm the only person. And I feel like the only resource out there that is generating money for HA is like the book, No Period Now What? Like $30. Every single girl with HA, $30, $30, you know what I mean? There was nothing else out there. And that was probably seated in my mind. Then I got through the journey and I just remember I actually went on a backpacking trip. I was so out of shape for this, guys. Like it was my first ever backpacking trip. It was 5 days long. I like lost a toenail. I had gained so much weight that like I just there were vertical climbs. Like some of these climbs were vertical. I made it though, right? I can do hard things. I can do some hard things. I'm traumatized, but you know, whatever. I remind myself all the time, you did that. So I was on that trip, just immersed in nature, when I was like, I think when I get home, I should start a podcast for women who went through hypothalamic amenorrhea. And I just had this feeling, and when you have the right idea, there's like an energy to it. Coffee sip. There's an energy to it. There's an air. You're like, oh, that's the one. So if you've ever had, you know, we've had ideas before, but there's like, it's when an idea truly has energy behind it, the moment you come up with it, that's the one you gotta chase. And I knew it and I felt it, so I did that. I chased it. Now, something about me, these are all the little rabbit holes that I really want to stick on for anyone who has something they want to do like this, right? In any area, you have a business, especially an online business, especially an online business this is most applicable to. Just do it half-baked. Do it half-baked. Do it half figured out. Do it 1% figured out. This podcast is an example of that. This is like the second go around where I'm going to try and build something out of this. But the first step is just get it out there. So I put together cover art and intro. I got a streaming platform. I got a microphone and I went from there. I just recorded, made it happen, started reaching out to people, and I knew, so this is an important thing that you all know, but I will confirm for you. It does have to be a good idea in a non-saturated market. This is a blue ocean. A red ocean is when there's so many sharks in there already that it's going to be tough for you to break through. Blue ocean, oh my gosh. And that blue ocean, HA was my blue ocean moment. I seriously thought, for the amount of time that I had been like, one day I want to start a business, I want to start an online business. It's like everything is done. Everything is done. And HA had been done too, but that ocean was like blue still. There was nothing out there. It felt like the freaking .com boom or something. I was like, oh my gosh, no one else is doing this. And there were some things I understood. Well, I understood copywriting. I understood SEO. I understood titles and how search engines work. And I realized I had an idea for something that I would be able to be a nobody in and grow. And I think that that's the key, right? So that can be done in a red ocean, but that's where niching comes in, right? You can't, so now HA is kind of a red ocean. You can't just come in and just do exactly what we do. You could, I mean, absolutely you could. Like, there's, you know, people who nail it, but you gotta have your own angle and your own flavor and your own spice. Now, here's another side tangent, but I did have my own angle and my own flavor and my own spice, and that is to be 100% wholeheartedly me. So I've always noticed dudes, like sometimes so I've got my Instagram account and we've got the HA Society Instagram account. And sometimes I don't run the HA Society Instagram account these days. I did originally, obviously. But now Mishi is like, she's the whole reason that thing is as glorious as it is. But I was logged in, just like checking the DMs. And sometimes I'll forget that I'm logged into that one. So I'll go to like kill some brain cells and watch reels. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, these are the most boring reels of all time. Like, nothing's funny. It's just all these girls who look the same, who are acting. They all have the same personality, and they're all nutritionists and dietitians, and they're all like pushing like a really boring agenda about women's health and wellness. Oh, I'm logged into the HA Society account. Then so that's like the algorithm is feeding me all this stuff of all these women who are the same. And And I knew, right, because a big setback for women who want to start an online business is they feel like they need to kind of curate something. They need to become this way, I don't know, do their hair, put on their makeup, have the persona, have the high energy, have the script, know exactly what they're going to say. And this will hold them back from creating anything, because the amount, that level of work, if you think you need all of that out the gate, you are delusional, because that is only something you get to at the highest level when you've gone through the first phase, or you just show up how you are. But all of these women think, we have to be a certain, men probably have it too, but I just don't know. All these women think they need to have it set up a certain way, and this is a way that makes them all the same. Feedback I've gotten, and tell me if you feel differently, because I'm always down for feedback to make the show better. But when we go on retreats and when I get to meet women in real life, or if a client starts working with me like in person kind of thing, they'll be like, oh my gosh, you're actually just like yourself. This is who you are. And I'll be like, yeah, it's easier that way. If I do not have to show up as anyone else, I can just hit record and start going. And that was the key, right? And it gets progressively more like that as time goes on. So there's a strategy for you. Just be yourself, please. And the rest will follow. And that's a big part of why I love Ashley, why I love Mishi, and why we love one of our newest recruits, Abby. All just themselves. No one else but themselves. Because they understand the assignment, that it's so much easier. So anyway, that was how I was really able to gain momentum quickly. I had the right name, the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. Like, the second you know how to spell it, you're finding me. That was my whole goal. I was like, clear, obvious name, right? Stop being perfect as a HA-based podcast would be significantly harder to take off at the time. It's not as SEO optimized. I could have done it through descriptions and things like that, but I knew like the fastest way from A to B is clarity, 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 simplicity, 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 value, value, value. So that's what we did. So it started with the podcast, and then I knew when I start the podcast, I'll see how it goes, like what's the feedback, what are people liking about it, and I'll come up with an idea from there, like a business idea. And the fun part is like, is this all about helping people? And one day I'll talk about that, right? Like how much having a business with purpose has allowed me to get through really difficult times and just feel amazing about my existence here on earth. But, if you want to have a successful business that has purpose, you must be both a business-minded person and an impact-minded person at the same time. And it's hard to wear both hats simultaneously. And right now in this conversation, I have my business hat on. So you're going to hear me talk more in the business side of things and less in like the passion, probably. Because I can't have both at the same time. I have to enter into modes. This is shown in like the way I schedule my week and everything, so that I don't have to have both hats on at the same time. Because it's actually really difficult. So that's a whole strategy in order to be both a coach running an impact-minded, impact-based business, but also make money to pay the bills. So from there, I realized, okay, these women need a community. These women don't have somewhere to go. Now they did. There was one Facebook group. It's probably still there. But the thing I didn't love about the Facebook group was there was a lot of people. It was really loud, and there were a lot of rules, right? So he's like, point number 2 is, okay, if you're going to start a business where someone else does exist, what makes you different? Not better, not more valuable, but just different, so that you're serving a different market. And what I had found was that, I didn't have an ED background, anything like that. That was I just had disordered eating behaviors, which is 100% of women with HA. And then it's like a spectrum of, did you have an ED? Do you have an ED? Or did you just like take macro tracking too far? And that was me. I was like, you know what's underserved? Women with like no EDs. So all these other Facebook groups that existed had rules around sharing weight-based, sharing calorie numbers. It was very monitored, which was valuable. And I saw the value in that, but I just was like, this could be really controversial and a bad idea, but what happens if I make a group where none of that is like off limits? There's no rules. There's a segment of women out there struggling to recover because people are being barred from sharing certain pieces of information that may help them. Let's just see what happens when we open the gates. And I was very scared. I was like, watch, within a few months, I'm gonna have to bring in those rules. I'm gonna learn the hard way why those rules exist. So I launched the HA Society, and the difference was you had to pay to get in. I think I launched at $6.99, and there's like a couple people who still have that price. So they've stayed the whole time. Shout out Vicky and Holly. You guys were OGs. And then I took it up to like $12.99, and now it's at $24.99. But the idea was like, okay, it's paid for, so it's going to be smaller, more concentrated, less loud, right? Then, like, less crazies, because like, you people who refuse to pay for anything and are like all free resources only, like, oftentimes you're kind of batshit. Don't get me wrong, I can be that way too with certain things, but like the HAs who really, really, really need help, but like will not invest in help, are actually batshit. So there's a major value to charging for stuff, because it's like, it puts your head on straight. So all the girls with their head on straight are joining the HA Society. So look at that, the value, the quality is through the roof. We're sharing things and we're connecting, and then I've started hosting community calls. That was my main reason for it, right? Let's get in on the camera and talk to each other. I'll facilitate conversation where we all connect, see each other, talk about it. Bing, bang, boom, stay focused, let's go. We started introducing practitioner events. There was a message board, and eventually I would post the recordings for all of those community calls into a private podcast playlist that people can listen to on Apple or Spotify or whatever. So now you're getting like more content, more value from a concentrated place, people you know. We're a true community. And it's so cool how the thing flourished and grew. Just like outside of me, like the girls did that themselves. I just created it, and then they sort of like built it. I probably would be considered the leader. Now Ashley's also one of the leaders. Mishi's now one of the leaders. But that thing self-funded itself. It was proof that women need this resource. And like some of these women, I still know y'all today. You're probably listening right now going, I was in your initial launch. I remember I used to do the HA Society. It wasn't open year round. Like what you see now isn't what it was. That's the nature of all businesses. You just try something and then tweak. So that's why it also doesn't matter that any of it's perfect, because you're going to change it anyway. So it just doesn't matter how you put it out there. And when I thought of the HA Society, I think that thing was launched, sealed, delivered within a month, right? Marketing, email campaigns, ads on the podcast, ads on the Instagram, like not paid ads, but just, posts. I just bang that stuff out. And it's partially because I'm experienced in how to launch an online product. Okay. I am not the most experienced. I have the minimum required amount of experience at this time. But I get it done. And it goes great. Probably like 15, maybe 20 girls joined at $6.99, all right? I'm not rolling. But the second someone buys, proof of concept. Proof of concept, let's go, we're rolling. Hosted these calls, these women show up. To this day, years later, guys, this is back in like 2020. To this day, every single Saturday community call has a turnout. Like there's just women are coming. We don't have calls that no one shows up to. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. It's the best. And we added coaching. I charged absolutely nothing. I wasn't qualified in any way. But something you guys will learn is like the word coaching. This is like the Wild West. I'm not, I didn't have my fertility awareness practitioner certification. I didn't have my functional nutrition counselor certification. I didn't have any of that. And I charged accordingly, guys. It's like $60 a month. Got my first client. Boom. Proof of concept. Now I have proof of concept. Now I will go and invest in my education. Let's get it rolling. Let's go. I have proof of concept. So I'm a huge proof of concept before investment person. I used a free website builder. I did not pay for a website. Podcasts are free. YouTube is free. I go free. It's like a disease, actually. Sometimes it's to my own detriment that I like. See, I'm a freeloader too. I'm free and then invest. But I do see the value of like my time, right? So we started doing that. Well, I started doing that, and then Ashley joined really soon. Ashley joined somewhere in the between the launch and the coaching opening, and then I brought her on as a coach pretty quick. I had enough clients to be able to like, you're in, and she was more qualified than me too. It was a smart cookie. So we'll have an episode about her and I's relationship and story. Maybe I'll bring her on, talk about it, because it's funny. It's funny as shit. So that's kind of how it started, and that's how it grew, and that's how it's where it is today. Iteration. Now we have the team of 3. We've recently brought a 4th on in training. We have a whole certification teaching you guys how to coach in the way we coach. And can you believe at one point I was making this shit up? Everything is made up in an online business. Someone had to come up with it somewhere. Me and Ashley came up with it. We tried, tested, iterated, and then eventually we had a process. And like, it was a legit process. Like, this is how people do this. This is legitimate, right? Yeah, and actually, like, the strategy never changed. Podcast, YouTube, blogs, SEO strategy, be yourself. Just make sure it's a good freaking idea. Show up, be consistent. Okay, I'm back. I had a friend, actually, I just had to pause recording for this because I just had a friend pop in who needed my help with everything we're literally just talking about for her photography business. She's like, I can't get the email automations to set up and the website to do the thing that I wanted to do. And that just is the thing that I am like Rain Man at. So people know it and they come and they get my help. But anyways, the thing that we did struggle with, the thing that was a challenge for the business was like just charging and pricing and like making money. So when Ashley joined, she brought a great deal of experience, especially to like the product itself. My expertise was more in like, okay, marketing the product, getting it online, getting it, you guys, everything you see is basically by me. But we both have limiting beliefs in what we can charge for what we do. And we both still struggle with that to this day. To this day, when one of us wants to take the price up of something, the other person is like, it's getting easier, but at the end of the day, it's just math. It's just math. You have to charge what you have to charge to pay your bills and keep your lights on. It's not about feelings. It's about what do you need to charge, crossing with like, what are people going to pay market value? And we did iterate our message. So like when we first started, we were selling periods, right? We were like, oh my God, get your life back, get your period back. Your period's so important. You guys know this. Turns out you don't care. Turns out, right? Everyone's like, really would actually be keen to not have the period. And I hate that I have to get the period. I understand that I need the period, but it just kind of sucks and I don't want it. So like you're basically, and this is for all businesses across the board, right? The customer needs to be in enough pain to take this level of action. And a lot of people are missing their periods, myself included, right? Missing my period, but like not in any pain. had not developed any kind of osteopenia, osteoporosis, wasn't having severe symptoms, and just actually had no idea that my neuroses, anxiety, and like dull skin, thin nails was like connected. Like I think I just didn't even know. I'm like, this is just me. I think about food a lot. I just am a binger. I need to control my food, right? It's not actually because of the dieting that I'm out of control with my food. You know what I mean? So I just kind of knew I needed my period, and like maybe I was going to have a kid in a few years and this was just important. So like not even I was in enough pain at the time, even though I did actually hire help eventually. I did end up in enough pain eventually, but it's such a hard thing to get you guys to hurt with, right? There's other stuff that's easier. Well, it turned out, or it does turn out in some research, what you will pay for is babies a lot of the time. We absolutely get a lot of customers who are not currently trying to get pregnant, but the vast majority are. So we went in a selling babies direction, because what we really wanted was to give everyone their life back, their relationship with food, and have a healthy body. So it turns out we can give that to you, but we're going to sell you babies, but we're going to give you back freedom. Does that make sense? So that's how we ended up doing it. Through our certification, when we help other women build similar businesses, there's all kinds of niches that you can go through. So people will also pay to be able to maintain their athletic endeavors. And that's something that I still kind of like, I'll still sell through my own personal, if someone wants to work with us for that, I'll assign them to me. People want to really, really resolve their ED or their relationship with food or something, like that's a niche you could focus on and not just sell the periods. You have to sell some other kind of transformation that people really want and are feeling pain around. So, that's kind of how we got there, and that was the evolution of the branding and how we were able to like get the pricing back up to a place that it needs to be. And so far, since 2020, every single one of our months has been better, than the previous year, and every year has been better than the previous year. And 2025 is actually already on track. I actually blew January this year out of the water compared to last January. So we're still always learning and iterating. It's just really cool. It's really cool to see. And, I don't think that we could have got the HA Society to where it is at without each other, like Ashley and I. But now we have this formula that we created that it has been fun to give to other people. And we're actually like in the works about like a business in a box product. So like we have our certification for practitioners, but now we want to create a business in a box where it's like, all right, here's actually everything you need to get to where we got. So like, I just feel like all of that is really exciting to be at that kind of place. And it's just really cool to have built a business without any investment of like monetary investment. It was all just time. It was all skills that I happened to have and developed over the years. Did absolutely everything ourselves. And in fact, like we still use minimal tools because I'm good at hacking together products and coding things that we don't need to buy these additional tools that automate things for us. I can build automations myself. So really grateful for that. And so that kind of means that we've been growing our revenue year over year and not increasing our expenses a lot at all, which is just really cool. Like I'm just really proud of that. And I hope that this episode explained that process as succinctly as possible. More than happy to dive into any of those like in those categories, those areas that I discuss in more detail. But I don't know, I just think that's like a cool origin story. Had an idea, put it together, was consistent, used the knowledge that I have on online business to create this online business, and provide value to other women. And I think that that's just so sick. Like, use your gifts, please. Created a place for Ashley to come and use her gifts, and then her gifts make mine better. I think partnerships are phenomenal. They're phenomenal. I'm someone who does things by herself, but when you can get the right partnership in place, so we're going to talk about partnerships in upcoming. We're going to talk about partnerships in business. We're going to talk about partnerships in sport, right? When you're playing sports with two people, like pickleball, tennis, I don't know, figure skating, ballroom dancing, whatever. We're going to talk about that one day. But this has been the story of the creation of the HA Society. I mean, I could nerd out on this stuff all day, guys. So if you have anything you ever want to ask about it, please do. And stay tuned for the next episode. Please like and subscribe on whatever pipe you're listening to this on. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.